Good evening, folks, and welcome back to Tiny CEO. Just thought I'd jump on and do a quick episode. It's not going to be a particularly long one, but quite a few things to talk about. The network is absolutely cooking at the moment, so no more important time for the CEO to jump on with network update and a bit of a response to some of the things discussed on the show today. I couldn't have John from Scranton join me on this show because he's too busy sucking Wagon's dick at the moment. So that's this kind of snaky guy John is. Loves to hang out with someone that assaulted other Minna ladies. But that's old news. I did catch John in a fucking lie this week. Like there is a reason people were jumping ship from the other network before we merged, because he just can't tell the truth. I checked at 9 a.m. Thursday morning Boston time for the audio version of Fireside Chats. It wasn't there. So I went to bed because it was very late here. Woke up to a message from John saying he'd put the audio in straight away, which is just not true because I checked. We have a shared Google Drive folder where he's supposed to put all audio. So look, John just can't help himself. Great guy, great producer of Men is Live, but he's untrustworthy. And I've said to Freddie, if you want your audio to be put up properly, then you're more than welcome to use my StreamYard. But he doesn't want to do that. So anybody that is any shows that are being produced by John, I have to wait for John to submit the audio. We've set up a system. We've got a shared G drive. I've got the link bookmarked, and I can just jump on and get the audio after a show's aired. But it's on John to remember to give me the audio, and it's not my job to chase John and remind him of doing it. I mean, when you think about all the shows all week, I can't be messaging John reminding him to do very simple jobs. Anyway, enough on John. A few things to talk about. Great appearance from Kane today in studio. Probably his best, up there with his best for sure. I mean, he's been really good the last two times. I mean, you can say a lot about me, but I have an eye for talent, and I was able to spot Kane's talent a mile away. I mean, it's hard to miss, really. So he's really come out of his shell. So a couple of things we discussed today. One was that I hate Dave Cullinane. And that is just not true. I do not hate Dave. He's very frustrating. He's very frustrating to listen to because he's so dumb. And he was very frustrating in the last couple of months because he seemed to be checked out. But it would appear that the messages have got through from myself, other shows on the network, Kirk, that he has to pull his finger out and talk about topics that everybody's interested in. So I've never hated Dave, and I've said this many times. He frustrates me, but I didn't like Steve Robinson as a person, but I do like Dave as a person. Dave is a lovely guy, just a little bit dim, and I just want him to do better. It's very frustrating when he's checked out and just brings in the worst stories for the show to talk about. So I just wanted to clear that up. It's I like Dave. Coleman was the best producer, but Dave's doing a better job in the last week or so. You can tell he's really thinking about what he brings up more. He's bringing up more stories of national interest. He's not getting it always right. Like there was a few stories today where Kirk just said, yep, and moved on. But that happens with any producer. Kane was also saying that he thought that I want the job, and that's why I don't like Dave. And look, there is certainly some frustration when I see someone like Dave doing stupid things, and I think, geez, I would do a better job there. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But I wouldn't say I don't think that's the driving factor behind it, because, and I've explained it many times, I'm so far away from KMS that it's not a reality to be the producer there. So there's so many things that would need to happen. It's not like I'm a producer in the area where I could just take the job at the drop of a hat. And I do feel, had I moved to Watertown in the last couple of years, I'd have the job by now. It would have been mine. It's there for it's there for the taking. I would have been offered it. So I don't quite have that frustration, but I don't have that, there's the driving force, but certainly there is some I guess, internalized frustration when I see Dave and Justin just being absolutely fucking pathetic at their job. And sorry, that was too harsh. They have times when they're pathetic at their job, and it is frustrating. Someone made a good point, and I can't remember who it was, so I can't credit them, but they were saying that surely when all the stuff with Dan Katz and Newton was going on, maybe Justin should have or Dave should have gone to Newton and maybe done some vox pops, maybe recorded stuff in Newton Mass about Big Cat. The old Justin would have done something like that, but the old Justin is dead and buried. I mean, the Justin that drove down to the subway in Delaware is gone. Where is that Justin? Justin now just waddles into the studio, and it's Bitsville, it's Chicken Periods, it's his sister, it's his it's just bit after bit after bit. Where is the Justin that used to go and do creative stuff? I mean, that Justin's gone. I mean, Kirk's worn him down, and I'd like that Justin to come back. I'd like him to say, "I'm going to do something on location." He hasn't done anything like that for ages and ages and ages. And I thought that was a very good point around the Dan in Newton Big Cat surviving Barstool drama. There was plenty of opportunities for Justin to get out and about and do stuff, but he's a shell of his former self, and it's frustrating because he's not actually being the lead producer in studio and he's not doing the bits. So what is he actually doing? Um, he does bounce well off Kirk. They do the bits. I know Sneakers doesn't like them and they do become a bit tired, but Justin will hold the line on some stupid thing he said, and then Kirk will just make fun of him for half an hour. And that's how most shows are sort of ending at the moment. Which is fine. It's amusing. I wouldn't say it's. Yeah, I think Justin can do better. That's all I'm saying. I think Justin needs to look at himself in the mirror and think, "What am I doing here?" I'm Cullinane's bitch. I'm staying in studio. I'm not getting out and about and doing anything. So anyway, Justin and Dave. There's no frustration about wanting the job. I like them both. Dave's not a bad guy. He's shallow and selfish, but he's not a bad guy. He definitely isn't. He's not like Steve Robinson, who's just a bad guy. What else? They mentioned again Maz. I mean, I think Cullinane was going off trying to cancel more people today. Kirk brought up that I thought it was hypocritical with the Charlotte Wilder thing, that Kirk got upset at Charlotte Wilder for trying to cancel Kirk. But he said it's different because Charlotte Wilder kind of lied about something allegedly with Kirk and Jerry. Either way you want to spin it, Charlotte's trying to cancel them. Cullinane's trying to cancel Mads. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's very very frustrating. So yeah, I just really like Mads. I think Mads is a great guy, and yeah, as I said, I think there's some hypocrisy there. I think if people were doing it to other people and what they weren't on KMS, Kirk would make fun of them and say they're being dickheads. But when his producer does it, well, I don't even know why he doesn't stop Dave doing it. He does keep doing it. Great show today. Fantastic show today. Kane was in top form. And I just want to give some insights. In hospitality in Sydney, the Kane v. Mick thing, they share tips with the kitchen here. I think the hourly wage structure might be a bit different, but they do. I'll answer questions from the chat later. They do share tips here in Australia. So it's maybe it's not 50-50 with the kitchen, but you will give sometimes 30-40% of your tips to the kitchen, and then that's divided up at the end of the week between how many shifts the kitchen staff did. But as I said, I know the pay structure here is a bit different. The chefs get paid a bit more here than wait staff, but still the wait staff are on pretty good money or pretty good hourly wage. Yeah, but I thought Kane, great performance today. Interesting stuff with his ex, watching the network. Very, very funny. Very, very funny. it's amazing to think his ex is scouring Kane's corner to probably, have ammunition to use against Kane. Maybe in court. Maybe I'll get deposed. Maybe I'll have to go to court as CEO of the Minifan Network when all this eventually gets sorted out, because it's only going to get uglier from here. What else? Oh, network stuff. Network stuff. So Freddie Lynn did a fireside chats with Jeff Lowe and Coleman. So Coleman makes his return to the show. Great to have Jeff on there. I'm happy to book. I was able to book Jeff for the show for Freddie. I'm a big fan of fireside chats with Freddie. But Freddie is very, very sensitive. He is. He's very, very sensitive. And that is just something I'm going to pull on until I break him, or he drops this whole sensitivity thing. Firstly, he's saying there should be an A and a B channel, and Fireside Chat should be on an A channel. He's talking about all this IP, but it's just a show talking about KMS. But I shared a DM that was very light yesterday because, I was bringing up stuff about the Freddie Lynn robot stuff, being an android, and if I'll level with Freddie, here. I don't really think he's a robot or an android, but sometimes he speaks like one, and that's in person or in DMs. I just thought it was funny, but he's taking it far too seriously. And then, I put a timestamp in the Fireside Chats title because there was a really boring 20 minutes in Fireside Chats, and I was just trying to help out the Minifans, but I also knew it was going to annoy the shit out of Freddie. And I just can't help myself. I honestly just can't help myself, and the more you bite at that stuff, the more is going to come your way. And I'm not going to make any apologies for that. I'm also not going to change. That's it. Tiny CEO is going to do things the way I want to. I'm going to stay out of people's way. That has been made clear. I'm staying out of John's way. He's got complete access to the network. He can do his show. But if Freddie wants to use John as his producer, that means Freddie also has to wait until John remembers to send me the audio. So, that's just the trade-off. I'm giving John complete freedom. He can do what he likes. He can play slap and tickle with rapists, whatever. But if he's going to fall asleep and forget to give me the audio, there is nothing I can do about it. I've said anybody is welcome to use my StreamYard. I promise I might not jump in. I'm not going to guarantee I won't jump in, but I might not jump in. Freddie's made it clear he doesn't want me to jump in because it messes up his script. It's hard for him to go line by line if I just jump in there and mess up his flow. But that's Android shit. There's nothing you can do about it. They're just pre-programmed to do a particular, to run through programs in a particular way. Network ratings came out, released for the last week, and Mike and the Minifans continues to surge to the top of the rankings. Tiny CEO and Mena's Live were 2 and 3, and then there was a lot of shows behind that. So stay tuned for the next ratings. It's been a huge week on the network, and so many great shows. And really, some of these shows should be watched a little bit more. So on Sunday we had, I think, Brando. Well, we had Hot or Not as well. And if it makes Freddie feel any better, John also forgot to submit audio for his own show. So John is a moron about his own show and about other shows. But yeah, we had Hot or Not. Again, way too long. It was 56 minutes. It needs to be 25 minutes. That's it. Done. Those two babbling away for 56 minutes, it's fucking awful. But Brando had the bio dude on before that, and that was a good show. I enjoyed Brando's chat with bio dude. Then we had the Unrelated show. I don't know. I like Tim and Jackson and Cinema, but that was pretty dog shit. I mean, they had some stupid soundtrack snake draft at the end. KMS chat was fine. I mean, it's a fine show. And it is one of those shows you can just put on the background and sort of fall asleep to or not pay attention to. I don't even know what they want the show to be anymore. I really don't know what they want. I mean, the unrelated show, they just bring up random topics. I guess what they want it to be. But yeah, cinema was hammered. Just we'll talk about Pat Ford later, but he might not have been as hammered as Pat Ford, but he'd been drinking all day. You got Jackson in the car. You got that stupid fucker from the UK, Tim Smith, and overall, the unrelated show needs to get its shit together. Like, you do not need 1 hour and 50 minutes of those three Muppets. And I would say that is my general guidance to a lot of these shows on the network. With all the content out there, people have limited time, which is why the timestamps for Freddie's show was so invaluable, because no one wants to hear about Surviving Barstool anymore. No one needs a dozen preview unless you're really into them and you can watch them. But for most people on this network, they want to hear KMS stuff. I'm just providing a public service. My overriding advice to everybody on the network is keep your shows relatively short. So, I mean, I think an hour should be tops. But as I said, some of these shows, the unrelated shows, should be 40 minutes. Hot or Not should be 25 minutes. I think the Brando show should be 40 minutes. If you want your views to go up, start short. You can always, okay, I'm going to give some gold here. You can increase the length of your show as the audience grows and you build an audience. But if you want people to tune in, when they see 56 minutes, an hour and 49 minutes, 56 minutes, maybe they think, no, actually, you know what? I'd rather listen to KMS again. I mean, there is 3 or 4 KMS episodes a week. The show's back. It's humming. So, you are competing for people's time. So every show should be shorter. That is my advice. Timeout Talks, here we go. 38 minutes, 69 views. But it's not really a show that Minifans would watch. But yeah, great. I've never watched the Timeout Talks, so I've got nothing to say about it. Then we had Kane's Corner with Ted Sellers this week. Exceptional stuff. I thought that was another fun interview. Kane does say some weird things, like asking Ted if he was born with it. But, there's no stupid questions. And, you can only ask. And I really enjoyed that chat. Ted is a gem. I don't know why the gambling chat doesn't like him. I do not understand how you could not like Ted Sellers. I just don't get it. I mean, he's just a sweet, funny, lovable Minifan. He's my little teddy bear. So Kane's Corner, great stuff. That's where we got the shit about Kane's girlfriend. And this is another thing. So Kane is trying to do a bit of, I think, try to be like Kirk or Pat and Kath, or he's trying to bring some of his personal own life drama into his show, and it's very brave to do that. I applaud him for doing that, but it is risky, especially when she's watching. And Kane tweeted out some messages he received from her that she is writing down every line he says almost about her. And I'm sure it's going in a file, and it'll probably come up in court one day. I will definitely appear as a character witness for Kane. So yeah, I applaud Kane for doing it. It's a big risk, and yeah, good guest, Ted Sellers. So again, if you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. Ted's a terrific guy. Then was it later that night we had Drips in the Office? I have to say I've always been a casual Drips in the Office fan. Jackson's in the chat. I'm sorry about what I said about the unrelated show. It's not personal, but you need feedback if you want to get better. If you want the views to improve, then take my advice. At least go shorter. That's my first advice. At least go shorter. Anyway, Drips in the Office. I've always been a casual Drips fan. Like, I've watched some episodes. That was just drivel. I mean, that was an hour and 2 minutes of absolute crap. It was not funny. There was no vibe between John and Pat in that episode. Pat was hammered, like so hammered he couldn't sit still. He was like fidgety. I'm really worried about him. Hope he hasn't fallen off the wagon. I am thinking about instituting a thing. So I don't know if any of you heard, but Brando, host of the Brando show, he has to blow in a breathalyzer before he can drive his car. I'm thinking of instituting a system like that for Pat Ford before he goes live on the drips to protect him from himself. He could do harm to himself and others if he goes live in a state like that. But yeah, he was just fucking all over the place. Yeah, it wasn't good. Wasn't good. And people are saying I tried to set Pat up. I didn't even watch it. I watched the first sort of 10, 15 minutes. It was so bad. Pat was so hammered, I had to turn it off. But then, I was made aware how hammered he was towards the end of the show as well. And I went back and had a look. And he was just spiraling. I think he just mistimed his gummies. He mistimed his meds. I don't know what it was. As I said, maybe he's fallen off the wagon. I hope not. I would never wish that upon anybody. I know he battles addiction. Yeah, he has a big battle with addiction. So, but look, so many great things to go back and watch this week. If I'm picking highlights, I'm going Brando show with Bio Dude. Of course, Manners Live. Most of you would have watched that. Next highlight, I'm going Kane's Corner with Ted Sellers. And then probably I'm going for the one I haven't talked about yet, which is PR Chomps episode 7. It's Fast versus Fancy. It's PRC and Tim Smith. So everyone knows I don't like Tim, but he does a good job in this. If you can get past that stupid accent, then he's quite an entertaining guy. I do think it's funny that some people think he's Australian. Like him and I sound so different. I mean, he sounds like a typical pommy twat. You just cannot get past it. So I do not understand how you can get Tim confused with being an Aussie. He's not an Aussie. But go and watch that. A little bit long, 36 minutes, but it's a draft, Fast versus Fancy. And, I think when you listen to Tim talking about the food he would order, it's pretty clear he's a homosexual male. So that's an all LGBTQI program. That PRC Chomps episode 7. You got 2 people from that community together on the show. So yeah, go and see that. And of course, Fireside Chats. It's doing great. Jeff Lowe and Coleman. I mean, if Freddie wants some real advice, I thought he kind of fluffed on that one. I mean, he had 2 good guests on, and he was very vanilla with the topics. I don't know why he went into all this shit with surviving Barstool and the dozen. Maybe you do that right at the end, but there's a lot of juicy topics seemingly sitting on the tree at the moment that he didn't quite get into on Fireside Chats. But I mean, Jeff always brings it. Coleman was, awake for some of it. So definitely worth watching. Yeah, so I mean, the network is popping. Really proud of the job I've been able to do, despite John trying to, sabotage the network every step. I'm still able to rise above that, and we'll continue to, produce as much great content as we can. And lots of big fish are coming on the network over the next few weeks. Kirk has offered to go on Kane's Corner. Kane should definitely take that up. I'll get to the questions in the chat in a minute. But yeah, Kirk's going to come on the network, so that's great. Always good to get him on here. Blind Mike's coming on a couple of shows. He's booked on the Unrelated show. I don't know why I said yes to that. He's also booked on, I think, the Brando show. And I have to say to Brando, you got to stop the arm waving. You got to stop it. You please just accept they're not interested in you and move on. Once you accept it's not going to happen, you'll be much better. You will be much better. So that's all I really got to talk about. We've got Mike and the Minifans this week. Who's Mick got booked for Mike and the Minifans? I don't know the full panel yet, so maybe Mick can let me know. hopefully do Mena's live, but it will depend on whether John is awake. Well, I could probably do it without him, but it'd be great to um, take calls again. I think it's great when I can hear from the fans. All right, I'm going to take questions from the chat. I'm going to take my own advice and keep this relatively short. Um, so thank you, Freddie. Gus has been booked on Mick's show. Thank you. See, this is what I mean, Freddie. You are so sensitive. You are so fucking sensitive that you can't take a bit of advice. I'm telling you, you whiffed. That's just fine. You got a big guest on. You got a bit nervous. Can happen to anybody. I didn't say it was terrible, but you're so sensitive about it. You're just such a little baby. Like, fucking get over it. Fucking get over it. You did fine. A lot of people love your show. I'm just saying, you didn't quite nail it. You'll get better. Um, but you are so sensitive. I mean, all I did was put in your title a little timestamp as a joke, and it got people actually tweeting about your show. And, jokes aside, there are people that are interested in surviving Barstool. So maybe that piqued their interest, you fucking idiot. Um, what else? Brandon from Connecticut. PR Chomps was entertaining. Definitely was. Tim Finnegan, Mick ushering in the KMS Attitude era. Not sure what that means, but I have to say, great stuff from Mick to revive Mike and the Minifans. I didn't think it could be done, but Mick has taken it upon himself to do it. And, I think this will last at least 1 or 2 more weeks before he stops. So we should enjoy it while we can. All the mayhem, it's never about the views. And I agree, like, we are not doing the Minifan Network to get amazing views. But my issue is if you keep your shows a bit shorter, more people will watch and more people will be entertained by your great content. I mean, that's it. It's not about having huge views, but people will look at some of the shows and go, "That's too long." Unfortunately, as I know, there's like a large portion of the Minifans that are unemployed and on welfare and stuff who can listen to shit all day. But there's also a fair portion of Minifans that do have a job. So yeah. What else? Yes, Ryan Vice Cullinane is counting the days to the 6-month KMS break. I think he is, but I do think there was pretty much universal backlash recently for Dave. Like, okay, people can say, I was doing it and I was leading the charge, and I was, but even people like Mama Kay who like Dave, have always liked him. She was saying on shows that he's checked out. So yeah, he's turned it around, Dave, and I'm really proud of him. And I'm looking to repair that relationship. He's always been a manners guy. I've always liked Dave, so I think the future is bright for both of us. But Justin's got to get out and about. Beyond average, Mick Scranton is the best in the business. That is just a lie. I mean, there is no way Scranton is the best in the business. He will leave you alone, sure, but he won't even listen to your show. He will not even listen to your show. And I try and listen to everything. I even gave the Drips 10 minutes. Timeout Talks is the only one. But I think that's a straight sports show about US sports that I don't follow. So I don't think I'm missing out on much there. Kane is able. Timestamps are essential for Fireside Chat. I agree. I'm going to be doing more of that. So in the future, I'm going to put the whole thing through a transcript. Maybe I'll provide access to the transcript for Fireside Chat. That is if I ever get the audio from John, but then maybe you'll be able to just go through. Well, you won't even have to watch it. You can just read it if you're more of a reader, but then you can actually just skip to the bits, the interesting questions. What else? Well, that's it for the questions. Oh, here we go. I've got some more at the end, actually. Red Winter, are you ever coming to the US or All Talk? I am coming. It will be this year. Depends on their break, but it'll be later this year. Kane is able. Is there any chance the Drips airs next week? I don't know if how much internet access Pat Ford's going to have from the clinic. So yeah, I would say no. Um, Freddie Lynn, what happened to the Code Brown show? Flush down the toilet where it belongs. Bonafides. Mick is thriving. Tough look for Kane today. Kane and Mick was great today. I thought it was a dead heat. No one won that. So, yeah, I thought it was a great performance. Kane is able. Is the Aussie Minifan show booked yet? Unfortunately, we're just waiting back to hear from Jamie. We haven't heard back from our third host. So, we'll be coming soon. Definitely love to get behind the mic with Jamie and Jackson. Maybe Jackson will have to go just do the two of us if can't get hold of Jamie. Dates. Would you consider being the White House foreign correspondent for KMS? I don't know what that is, but yes, I would. Whatever that is. Nick Tacular, host of Code Brown, says it'll be airing Saturday 8 p.m. I don't think there's anything in that spot. So used to be the old 420 guys slot. So unless I'm doing men's live, it's all yours. Brando from Connecticut. Brando is going to go dark for a while. Probably a good idea. Um, Although I think the Brando show's coming along, and I said to Brando, you just got to aim a bit lower. Like get a group of whack packers who want to talk KMS and just do it. And I thought Biodude was the perfect one. All right. Well, look, if there's any more questions, throw them in the chat now. But I just want to thank everybody for supporting Tiny CEO, um, and for supporting the network. We're in, another golden era of network content. And I, really appreciate everything the content creators do. I'm joking around. Freddie's a very sensitive guy, but he does a great job with that show. He should just play the game and stop being a little fucking baby. But yeah, super proud of Kane. Great appearance today. And yeah, I'll hopefully be back with the Men's Live soon. And thanks everybody. Make sure you go back and watch some of that great Minifan Network content. If you haven't already, if you're somebody that prefers podcast format, subscribe to the Minifan Network podcast feed. You can listen to all the stuff. Sometimes John forgets to send me the audio, so it can take a few days, but most of the shows get put up there fairly promptly. So, you've got a couple of options for consuming the Minifan Network. Definitely do it. And I'll be back soon. This is Tiny CEO signing out.